Hey guys, welcome back. It's Joseph. Quick and simple gospel. Yeshua, Jesus, came to this earth, lived a perfect 33 years, was crucified on a cross for our sins, buried in a tomb for 3 days, and rose from the grave on the third day. We are saved through faith in Christ alone and by no other name. Amen. So, good afternoon, guys. Hope you're all doing well today. I am back after a little break, and do I have a decode for you guys? We're going to talk about several things today, but the main decode: gunman dead in Atlanta shooting near CDC and Emory University, officer killed. And another headline says officer killed in shooting outside CDC headquarters in Atlanta by gunman who reportedly blamed COVID vaccine for illness. So it's going to be a great show, and we'll give it a few minutes, wait for a few people to jump in, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Got a lot to talk about today. Let me see how we're looking on the screen here. All right, looking good. Hey Judy, hey Christy, hey Bridget, hey Evelyn, hey Patrick. Much love, everyone. Hey Linz, hey Danique. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. Guys, do me a favor when you come in, please hit the like button. Very much appreciated. Helps out the algorithm and helps more people find the video. And also, please hit the share button. That way we can get this out to more people. Hey LS, hey K. Hello A, how you doing? All right, guys, we got a lot to talk about. We'll go ahead and get started. All right, guys, just give me a second to get all set up. Thank you, Mary. Good to see you. Yeah, I was live with Franshot Pearson yesterday. Yeah, even though I took about a week off, I did a couple shows with Franshot Pearson while I was gone. So, never completely gone. You know, I always, when I need to take a little mental break, I always make community posts or do a show with somebody else. But yeah, I definitely needed a little mental break, and I'm glad I took it. It's a lot of there's a lot of news in a short amount of time. I did like 12 live streams in 7 days. I got a little burnt out. But hey, after doing this for almost 6 years now, over 10,000 videos, and I'm on channel number 14, you know, that could wear a person out. But we're back, and yeah, I got a pretty good decode for you guys. All right. I think we look okay here. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, man. You know, I could have left this decode at just one slide, but I have like 100 slides for you guys. And speaking of slides, I want to say this. Going forward, today I do have slides for you, but going forward, for the sake of not wearing myself out, in the future, maybe even on the next live stream, I might not do slides for every show. Now, I'm still, when I say slides, I mean like built in a collage like this with everything together. I might just take screenshots and then present them in the correct order. Because taking the time to build these collages, it takes hours. And maybe I'm putting more work on myself than I need to. You know, the important stuff is the information, not the pictures. So I'm just saying, that's something I'm thinking of doing in the future. Like if there's some big breaking news and I want to get it out quickly, instead of taking 3 hours to build a bunch of collages, I might just go live with the screenshots. So, yeah, don't be surprised if that's how we start doing it in the future. But anyways, I do have slides for today because I had time, and I was also waiting for the suspect's name. So anyways, let's go ahead and get started. And yeah, this one should blow your mind. Here we go. Gunman dead in Atlanta shooting near CDC and Emory University. Officer killed, police say. And then another article says, officer killed in shooting outside CDC HQ in Atlanta by gunman who reportedly blamed COVID vaccine for illness. All right, guys, we're going to break this down all by the numbers using gematria, which is simply letters as numerals. And once you learn the simple code of coding letters into numbers, you can see right through the scripted coded news every day. So let me make sure my chat is working here. All right, I got to keep hitting the button for it to update, but that's okay. So anyways, I did a live with Franchot Pearson last night, and we found this on the fly. And if you watch the show, we kept going back and forth. He would find something, then I would find something. And he's actually the one that found the address here, and then, you know, we connected it further. But anyways, the main point here, officer killed in shooting outside CDC headquarters in Atlanta by gunman who reportedly blamed COVID vaccine for illness. Okay? And then it says here, a DeKalb County police officer and an active shooter were killed Friday during a gun battle inside a CVS at Emory Point, prompting lockdowns at the CDC, Emory University, and nearby facilities. Okay, so we have shots inside a CVS. Get it? Kind of like, you know, during the time of COVID, people were getting a lot of shots at CVS. And this is connected to the CDC, which is obviously connected to COVID. And I couldn't believe it when I saw the motive, because me and Franchot, we connected this to the number 201, like event 201, the pandemic simulation, because that's the address of Emory University. So we were already connecting this to event 201 and COVID before they came out with the motive. All right. So he's blaming the COVID vaccine for his illness, and we have shots in a CVS. Okay. Well, the first thing to point out, this happened near Emory University. Look at the address for Emory University. It's 201. 201. You're right, Maggie, and that's my next point. Maggie says it was 201 days after the inauguration. Absolutely. So, number one, we have the address at Emory University 201, like event 201, the pandemic simulation. And like Maggie just said, it was also 201 days after Trump assumed office. Okay? Now, I'm also going to show you how... Sorry, a loud car was driving by. Not only is this connected to COVID, this is also connected to the soon removal of Donald Trump, something I've been talking about for a long time. So we have the address 201, and it was 201 days after Trump assumed office. Like event 201, a global pandemic exercise, which was the pandemic simulation right before COVID began, right? And the main person involved with event 201 was William Henry Gates, which equals 201. Hey, Cody, good to see you. Yes, I'm back. So, I mean, just off slide one, what do you think? Is that a coincidence that the guy, his motive, he's mad at the CDC over the COVID vaccine, and this happens near Emory University with the 201 address, 201 days after Trump took office, like event 201, like William Henry Gates 201. Now, here's a decode I did connected to the number 201, And the CDC director, back in 2022, I did this decode. CDC director tests positive for COVID-19. Well, that was in the news on October 22nd, 2022. And the CDC director was Rochelle Walensky, her birthday, April 5th. So that was in the news 201 days after her birthday. That's the CDC director. So there's another direct link between 201 and the CDC. And then the founder of the CDC is Dr. Joseph Mountain, which just happens to equal 201. Now, not only did we have Event 201, remember we also had another simulation called Preparing for Disease X. That was held exactly 201 weeks after COVID was declared a pandemic. You think that's a coincidence? And it was also 201 days from Obama's birthday. Don't forget the son of perdition, Barack Hussein Obama. The son of perdition, Barack Hussein Obama, equals 201. That old serpent 201, Event 201 on 10:18. Like Luke 10:18, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. Barack means lightning, bomb of the heights. But anyways, yeah, the son of perdition, Barack Hussein Obama, is 201. Preparing for Disease X was 201 days from Obama's birthday and 201 weeks after COVID declared a pandemic. Don't forget, we just had the first Jesuit Pope die, Pope Francis. His full name, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, 201. He lived in suite number 201 at the Domus Sancti Marte, which equals 201. Ignatius of Loyola, 201. That's the founder of the Jesuit order. The Jesuit order equals 201. Catholic Pope, 201. The Georgia Guidestones went down 201 days from the Pope's birthday. And Pope Francis died 201 days from the death anniversary of St. Francis of Assisi, who he got his name from. All right. Well, right before I took my break, we had a bunch of big deaths connected to the 201. Probably the biggest one, Ozzy Osbourne, which equals 201. And remember, Ozzy bit the head off a bat on 20/1, and obviously COVID connected to the bat. And Ozzy tested positive for COVID, and it was announced by Sharon, and it was announced 201 days from Sharon's birthday, right? And what if I told you Ozzy Osbourne and Sharon Osbourne, they were born exactly 201 weeks apart? How about that? And Ronnie James Dio, his connection with Black Sabbath lies in his role as the band's vocalist replacing Ozzy Osbourne. And long story short, he died 201 days before Ozzy's birthday. And you know, since I brought up Ozzy, it's really hard for me to talk about Ozzy without mentioning the 666 connection. Let me do it real quick. I didn't plan on it, but gotta mention it. Shout out to Decoding with Cody in the chat, who gave me the heads up on this one. Much love to Dr. Savage in the chat. Good to see you. Real quick. Just for anyone who hasn't seen it, it still blows my mind. It's here somewhere. And then we'll get back to the 201s. Here it is. Okay, so the craziest part with Ozzy, he died 232 days after his birthday. Ozzy equals 232, Satan equals 232, and he died 2 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days from the anniversary of the Church of Satan being founded. 2 months, 3 weeks, 2 days, like 232, like Ozzy and Satan, 232, dead 232 days from his birthday. Well, the Osbournes had a Satan podcast, episode number 203, the Satan Bilderberg Group and the Illuminati Invite Only podcast. That was episode 203. Ozzy died on the 203rd day of the year, day 203, and Satanic Ritual equals 203. And Ozzy died 666 days after the Osbourne Satan podcast. How about that? And podcast equals 666, Rockstar 666. And he also died 666 months after Black Sabbath's first single. I mean, wow. That's a lot to be a coincidence. So anyways, Ozzy with the 201. And if you're just coming in, this shooter is blaming the COVID vaccine for his illness. That's why this happened outside the CDC by Emory University with the 201 address. And it happened 201 days after Trump assumed office, like Event 201, the pandemic simulation, William Henry Gates 201. I pointed out that the CDC director tested positive 201 days after her birthday. And the founder of the CDC, Dr. Joseph Mountain, equals 201. And then we just covered all the 201s with Ozzy. Ozzy Osbourne 201. And then we had Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan's first wrestling match, the United States, was 201 years old. You know, he's Mr. America, a real American guy. And they say he was 201 centimeters tall. Right there, 201 centimeters tall. And he had a restaurant called Hogan's Hangout, which is 201. And then we had Malcolm Jamal Warner from The Cosby Show. He died on the 201st day of the year, and there were 201 original episodes of The Cosby Show, and he's from Jersey City, New Jersey, where they have the 201 area code. And the craziest part about this, another shout out to Decoding with Cody, everybody was pointing out, right, if you add up their ages, Hulk Hogan 71, Ozzy 76, Malcolm Jamal Warner 54. Everybody was pointing out if you add up the three ages, it equaled 201. But then Cody pointed out if you add up their three names, Malcolm Jamal Warner, Ozzy Osbourne, Hulk Hogan, it equals 201. So all three of them individually were connected to the 201, and then we got all that news in the same week. You know, their three ages equals 201, and their three names together, 201. And we're going to talk more about the 201 later. We got a lot more with the 201, but I'm going to shift now to a different number, the number 220, because this happened on August 8th, day number 220 of the year. And he's blaming the COVID vaccine, right? Well, coronavirus pandemic equals 220, Operation Warp Speed 220, and the father of the jab, Donald John Trump 220. And I'm going to show you how this connects to Donald Trump's soon removal. Of course, this was another shooting, and it's all connected to Trump, just like the big one in New York, which I'm going to recap. Remember that one on the 33rd floor? By the way, the police officer who got killed in Atlanta, allegedly, 33 years old, of course. But anyways, you got the 220th day of the year, coronavirus pandemic, Operation Warp Speed, Donald John Trump, they're all 220. So this is actually the original reason me and Franchot went live, because we had a shooting, right, on 8/8. Of course, Trump equals 88. We'll get to all that in a bit. But I pointed out to Franchot, because he did a video on connecting this to Jimmy Carter. And I said, you know, it was also 222 days after Jimmy Carter died. Now, how does this shooting connect to Jimmy Carter? Well, Jimmy Carter was born in Georgia. He died in Georgia, and he was the governor of Georgia. And where did this shooting happen? In Georgia, right? So anyways, before I get to the 222, you know, we always talk about the 201 and the 222 together. We just talked about the 201. Well, don't forget, Jimmy Carter died on 12/29. That's the 201st prime number, right? So anyways, this shooting in Georgia happened 222 days after Jimmy Carter died. And I want to show you how this is connected to the soon death of Donald Trump. All right. So we have this shooting in Georgia, Jimmy Carter, the governor of Georgia, 222 days after Jimmy Carter died. So Trump equals 222. Donald John Trump Sr., 222. Donald John Trump dies, 222. I had to cover that up for Facebook, but that is correct. You can look it up. DIES. Donald John Trump dies, 222. And Trump Organization, 222. Right? And the shooting started, I don't know if it started, but this is where the officer and the suspect were allegedly killed, inside the CVS, right? You get the joke, shots in a CVS, you blame the COVID vaccine, right? Police confirmed the shooter responsible for opening fire inside the CVS store at Emory Point has died. Anyways, my point, CVS equals 222, all right? And remember, it's 222 days after Jimmy Carter died. And I pointed out, if you remember, Jimmy Carter's funeral. This is my decode from January. Jimmy Carter's funeral was 22 weeks and 2 days before Trump's birthday. And the last two presidents to die are Jimmy Carter and George H.W. Bush. And the funeral for George H.W. Bush was 22 months, 2 weeks, and 2 days after Trump's first inauguration. And then check this out. The last two presidents to die, George H.W. Bush and Jimmy Carter, their deaths are separated by exactly 2,222 days. How about that? Jimmy Carter died 2,222 days after George H.W. Bush died. Now, before I get to all the other 222s with Trump, you know what? I'll do this first and then I'll come back. All right? Let's not forget, this is all connected to the COVID vaccine, right? The first U.S. case of COVID was 222 days from Trump's birthday. And they called it Wuhan coronavirus, 222. Like Event 201, 222, World Economic Forum, the Beast of Revelation, Antichrist System, the Antichrist, Barack Obama, 222. And as I'm going to show you, remember, Obama tested positive 222 days from his birthday. And then mandatory vaccination, 222. COVID vaccines, 222. Vaccine cards, 222. As above, so below, 222. Order out of chaos, 222. And if you think that's a coincidence, well, COVID was declared a pandemic exactly 222 months after 9/11. And Obama tested positive for COVID in 2022, which is 222. 222 days from his birthday. How about that? And again, the Antichrist, Barack Obama, 222. And then COVID was declared a national emergency 222 days from Obama's birthday. And of course, Trump just won the election 222 days from his birthday. And there was a 222-page lawsuit. Look, Donald Trump fraud lawsuit. Read the blockbuster 222-page filing. My goodness. Well, Trump took the stand in that 222-page lawsuit. He took the stand 222 days from his birthday. And then what if I told you Donald Trump's sister died 222 days from her birthday? And Ivana Trump just happened to die 222 days from her birthday. And Ivana equals 222. Trump 222. All right, now before we move on, remember, we're mentioning this because it happened in Georgia. Jimmy Carter, the governor of Georgia, and it happened 222 days after Jimmy Carter died. Hey, Lady Hawk, good to see you, and much love to you. And thank you for everything. So, Franchot made another interesting discovery. There's so much news, it's hard to keep up with it. Lions, Maurice Norris leaves preseason game in ambulance after blow to the head. So this was in Atlanta yesterday, right, on 8/8. Notice Lions, like the Lionsgate portal was on 8/8, right? But anyways, this is in Atlanta, right? Same place as the shooting. And they suspended the game. Where's my picture here? Yeah, they suspended the game after a player got a blow to the head, right? So, anyways, the guy that he collided with was Nathan Carter. Look at that. Carter. Like Jimmy Carter, right? And this is in Atlanta, right? And we were just connecting the shooting in Atlanta to Jimmy Carter on the same day, right? So much to say here. But weren't we just talking about the number 201? Look at that. Nathan Carter equals 201, okay? Like Emory University has the address at 201, and it was 201 days after Trump took office, so isn't that interesting? And then we were just talking about the 222, right? Look at the birthday of Nathan Carter, May 22nd, which happens to be my birthday. But anyways, Nathan Carter's birthday, May 22nd, 2002. Look what Franchot found. Jimmy Carter died 22 years, 222 days after this guy was born with the last name Carter. And this happened in Atlanta. Like, isn't that wild? And I'm sure there's a lot more to it. I just put it together real quick. And for the record, he does wear the number 38. And where is it here? And Falcons equals 38. And of course, death, murder, and killing equals 38. Isn't that wild? Let me see. Oh, also Atlanta has the 48. Like Donald Trump equals 48. Trump shot equals 48. Remember, Trump was shot 48 weeks from his birthday, allegedly. But I think that's pretty much it. You got the Lions with the Lionsgate portal. You got the Nathan Carter with the 201. You got the 38 jersey. And then we're connecting this whole thing to Jimmy Carter. And Jimmy Carter died 22 years, 222 days after the guy was born. And I think that's about it on that. But yeah, great find by Franchot there. And again, this is all 222 days after Jimmy Carter died. And remember, he died on 12/29, the 201st prime number. Like this guy's name equals 201 with the last name Carter. What a crazy matrix, huh? All right, so we covered all the 222s. And for the record, I don't know if I'm going to do a full recap today on everything. You might have to go back, but I'll give you the key points. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. So we just went through all the 222s. So it was also 7 months, 1 week, and 3 days. The shooting in Georgia, where Jimmy Carter was the governor. The shooting was 7 months, 1 week, and 3 days after Jimmy Carter died. Like 7/13, like Butler happened, right? On 7/13. Now back to the COVID connection. So the suspect, or not the suspect, the officer who was killed, David Rose, 33. Can you believe it? 33 years old. Of course, corona equals 33, so does police. We'll get to that. But notice that the suspect, at first they were calling him a unidentified masked attacker. I mean, come on, a mask, like a face mask, like COVID with the mask, right? I mean, you got it all there, guys. You got the CDC, you got the address 201, 201 days when Trump took office, you got shots inside a CVS, and he's a masked attacker? Come on now. And the officer just happens to be 33, of course. But anyways, the officer's name is David Rose, which equals 56. And how many times we talked about COVID in the 56, right? So not only does David Rose equal 56, coronavirus 56, COVID vaccine 56, Anthony Fauci 56, the list goes on. Society of Jesus 56, Freemasons 56. It's a long list. But also, this happened 56 days after Trump's birthday, and it happened 56 weeks after Butler. How about that? Pretty crazy, huh? But yeah, David Rose, 56. The guy's blaming the COVID vaccine, 56. Coronavirus, 56. And the suspect is Patrick Joseph White. He's 30 years old, like vaccine is 30. I mean, how perfect. And police is 30. And, of course, corona is also 30 and 33, like the officer was 33. But yeah, what a perfect age. And then he's also got the 846, big number we've been talking about for a long time. Patrick Joseph White, 846. Trump dead, 846. Trump killed, 846. Remember in the Snoop Dogg video, Lavender, you got Snoop Dogg pointing the gun at Trump, and the real name of Snoop Dogg is Calvin Broadus, which equals 846. And remember when I pointed out, we got the news of Snoop Dogg's brother, Bing Worthington, dead at 44, like shooting is 44 and kill 44. But anyways, that was in the news 846 days after Snoop Dogg's mom died. And again, Snoop Dogg's real name, Calvin Broadus, 846. Like tribulation, the days of Noah, the fallen angels. Revelation 3:9, behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie, equals 846. And then I said, wait a minute. Let me find it here. I said, this makes perfect sense. Look at this decode I did back in 2020. Sandra Lindsay, the first woman in the U.S. to get the vaccine. Huh. And this guy's blaming the vaccine, right? Well, what does Sandra Lindsay equal? I wonder. Look at that. Sandra Lindsay, 846. Right, yeah, Bing Worthington, like Chandler Bing. Yep, that's a whole different story. Well, long story short, though. Here, do I have a list on Chandler Bing here? I knew somebody would mention it. Hold on. Yeah, so don't forget, Bing equals 192, like Obama 192, like leave the world behind. 192, Great Tribulation 192, Leave the World Behind ends in the Commodus bunker, who died in 192. But remember, he's from Friends, and Obama's movie Leave the World Behind is connected to Friends. And the little girl is trying to finish the last episode of Friends, which is season 10, episode 18, like Luke 10:18. And the director of the movie, his birthday and Obama's birthday are separated by 10 months and 18 days. And the star of the movie, Julia Roberts, her initials JR 1018. Well, Julia Roberts used to date Matthew Perry, and Matthew Perry died on her birthday, right before the movie came out, which again was all connected to Friends. And don't forget, Matthew Perry equals 64, died on the day, leaving 64 days left in the year, like Barack Hussein Obama 64, the Antichrist 64. And he said he had a man crush on Obama. And the list goes on. But anyways, the big thing, Chandler Bing had a fictional birthday in the show. Matthew Perry died 666 months after Chandler Bing's fictional birthday in the show. And there's a lot more I could say. But yeah, Bing, like Chandler Bing. But anyways, the 846, right? Patrick Joseph White, 846. The real name of Snoop Dogg, Calvin Broadus, 846. Trump killed, 846. Trump dead, 846. And this guy's blaming the vaccine, right? And the first person in the U.S. to get the vaccine, Sandra Lindsay, 846. And remember, the first tower was hit at 8:46 a.m. and we had the knee on the neck for 8 minutes 46 seconds before they changed the time. And remember, George Perry Floyd equals 201. And then Margaret Keenan was given the vaccine by May Parsons. And I think this was like the first woman in the UK. But anyways, May Parsons had the 846, like HOAX code. And check out her hands with the penguin Santa, or Santa penguin, whichever. But yeah, look at her shirt. She's got a Santa penguin on her shirt there, which is also 846. And anyways, Sandra Lindsay, 846. That's the key point. And again, this post is from 2020, so we've been talking about this stuff for a long time. All right, Patrick Joseph White, 846. Oh, and for the record, some other late additions here. You know, the word vaccination equals 666, and COVID was declared a pandemic 666 days after the Clade X pandemic simulation. And his name, Patrick, does equal 666. And also, Patrick Joseph White is 216, which is 6 times 6 times 6. Of course, Obama born on the 216th day of the year. The day leaving 149 days left in the year, when Antichrist is 149. But yeah. Patrick is also 33, for the record, like the officer was 33. But I think we can move on. His last name, White, 29 and 25, like Trump is 29 and 25. And then this is connected to the CDC, right? The current director of the CDC is Susan Monores, and her birthday, November 6th. This happened 90 days before her birthday. Patrick Joseph White equals 90. So there you go. And guys, do me a favor when you come in, please hit that like button. Very much appreciated. And then, of course, the police officer was 33 years old. Can you believe it? Like, police is 33, masonry 33, and corona is also 33. And then to go with the masonry connection, don't forget, the highest degree of the Scottish Rite, the 33rd degree. So obviously the 33 connected to masonry, but David Rose equals 43 and 56, like Freemasons is 43 and 56. And then this happened at CDC HQ on 8/8. CDC HQ equals 88, like Trump equals 88. And of course, we got to go through the long list of the 88s. That Snoop Dogg video, Lavender, where he's pointing the gun at Trump, that came out March 12th, 2017. Trump was allegedly shot in Butler 88 months after the Snoop Dogg video, and Trump equals 88. The would-be assassin, hold on, let me grab a sheet of paper here before I forget. The would-be assassin from Butler, Thomas Crooks, his birthday 9/20/03, that's the 8,888th prime number. And there's a movie, Donnie Darko. The movie is set in the year 88. And Donnie wakes up in a golf course. You know, golf course is connected to Trump. And long story short, Frank the Rabbit tells Donnie that the world is going to end in 28 days, 6 hours, 42 minutes, and 12 seconds. You add that up, 28 plus 6 plus 42 plus 12, it equals 88. So the movie Donnie Darko is set in the year 88, and the numbers on Donnie's arm add up to 88. And the guy who plays Donald J. Darko is Jacob Benjamin Gyllenhaal, which equals 88. And in that movie, Frank the Rabbit gets shot, and the guy who plays Frank the Rabbit was born 88 days from Trump's birthday. How about that? The guy who plays Frank the Rabbit, remember Frank the Rabbit gets shot in the movie, he was born 88 days from Trump's birthday. And Frank is a perfect match to Donald in 3 ciphers. And then Rabbit equals Trump in 2 ciphers. And remember, I Pet Goat 2, you have the rabbit with the bullet hole in the upper ear, like Trump. And that movie takes place in Middlesex, which equals 888, like Mar-a-Lago 888, Donald J. Trump 888. COVID was declared a pandemic 888 days after Trump's famous calm before the storm statement. The Art of the Deal 888. Beast System 888. Then Back to the Future, Biff represents Trump. They got to reach 88 miles per hour, right? Then we had the raid on Mar-a-Lago, August 8th, 88. Then Trump just put up the 88-foot-tall flagpoles while talking about 88 billion in tariffs. And Trump's number to text is 88022. And another 88 for you. Remember Alec Baldwin with the shooting of Helena Hutchins on the set of Rust? And remember Alec Baldwin played Donald Trump on Saturday Night Live, right? And Helena Hutchins, HH 88, like Hulk Hogan, was at the RNC saying enough was enough, like the Illuminati card that talks about our snipers can drop you anytime with an image that looks like Trump. Remember, he just died, Hulk Hogan, HH88. But anyways, on top of that, Helena Hutchins is a perfect match to stage shooting in every cipher. And don't forget, the Rush shooting was 201 days after Alec Baldwin's birthday. So there's another 88 for you. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do a full recap. We'll be here all day, but I will try to hit the key points when I'm done. So this happened in DeKalb County, Georgia, which is 195. Like Butler was on the 195th day of the year. Like Trump shooting 195 and Corey Comparator, the one victim allegedly, with the 195. And then this happened at a CVS pharmacy, and it was at Emory Point. Look at this. Emory Point, 6048, CVS Pharmacy, 6048, Donald Trump, 60 and 48. So, I mean, this has very clear connections to COVID, obviously, and Trump, in my opinion. And then Franchot pointed this out. It says police responded to an active shooter situation around 5 p.m. at 1600 Clifton Road. 1600, right? Look at the address for the White House. 1600, Pennsylvania. So another connection to the president. And then Officer David Rose is 159, Donald Trump 159. And this is such a big number with Trump. Remember Trump's indictment, the classified documents indictment, was on the 159th day of the year, when indictment 159, Donald Trump 159. And then the other indictment for the insurrection, right? That came on August 1st, 159 days before the anniversary of the insurrection, when insurrection is 159, like indictment and Donald Trump. And now I'm going to tie this into this. This was my last video before I took a break. The shooting that happened in New York, that was all connected to Trump. Remember the guy's card that had Trump's birthday on it, which I'll show you. But up at the top, it said Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, which is 159. And then he went up to the 33rd floor, which is Rudin Management, which is 159, like mass shooting 159 and Donald Trump 159. And this was in the Blackstone building, which had the NFL headquarters. And the commissioner of the NFL is Roger Goodell. This also happened. The shooting in New York was 159 days from Roger Goodell's birthday. I mean, my goodness. Rudin Management 159, mass shooting 159, Donald Trump 159, 159 days from Roger Goodell's birthday. And then here's the guy's card. Shane D. Tamura, issued 6/14. Look at that. That's Donald Trump's birthday. 6/14, right? And remember the name on the card, the way it's written, Shane D. Tamura 44, on a day with 44 date numerology. And we heard from Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch, which equaled 44. Like shooting is 44, mass shooter 44, gunfire 44, officer 44, kill 44. But the big part, it was 44 days after Trump's birthday in a 44-story building. I mean, you don't think that's connected to Trump, who's from New York? When the guy's name, Shane D. Tamura, 44, like shooting, with Trump's birthday right there on the card. 44-story building, 44 days from Trump's birthday. Crazy, right? And then we just went through all the 88s, but his name is Shane Tamura. Tamura, 88, Shane, 88, Trump, 88. Shane Tamura, 68, Donald J. Trump, 68. Active shooting, 68. Donald John Trump, 68. Manhattan, New York, 68. Trump assassination, 68. And it happened 6 months and 8 days after the inauguration, like Butler happened 6 months and 8 days before the inauguration. Like Thomas Crook, 68. Raleigh shooting, 68. And then remember, the Minnesota lawmaker was killed on Trump's birthday, the day of the No Kings protests. Minnesota lawmaker, 68. No Kings protest, 68. Trump's birthday, 68, by a guy named Vance. Vance Bolter, like J.D. Vance, would become president if something happened to Trump. And there's a lot more with the Vance connection. Too much to get into. Go check out that video. But then you had James Comey with the 86-47 shell formation. Right, shell formation, 68. Butler shooting, 68. They blamed it on the head of the Secret Service, Kimberly Cheadle, 68. Remember, it happened 666 days after Kimberly Cheadle assumed office. Mar-a-Lago, 68. The Apprentice, 68. The list goes on. So much more I could say about the 68. Yep, you're right, Georgie. I'm going to get to that next. The meeting between Putin and Trump. I got a decode on that for you too. And then the shooting happened 176 days before the birthday of Shane Tamura. And Shane Tamura, 176, like NYPD officer, like Donald J. Trump, 176. And Shane Tamura was born 220 days from Trump's birthday, like Donald John Trump, 220. And then, of course, the suspect went up to the 33rd floor, like this officer is dead at 33. And so you got the 33rd floor in New York, which equals 33, and police 33. And the officer who was killed, Decoded Islam, Decoded 33, and the suspect was from Hawaii, which equals 33, and Masonry 33. And then remember, we talked a lot about the number 201 today, right? Because the shooting was near Emory University with the 201 address, 201 days after Trump took office. And event 201, that whole thing. Well, look at all the 201s we found with the last story I covered, the shooting in New York. Look at the officer's name, Decoded Islam, 201, right? Like the Jesuit order. And then you had a witness, Jessica Chen, which equaled 201. And then on the top of his badge, which remember, or his ID, which had Trump's birthday on it, Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department 201. And then this happened inside the Blackstone building, and the CEO of Blackstone, Stephen Schwartzman, who was also chairman of President Donald Trump's Strategic and Policy Forum, his birthday, February 14th. The shooting happened 201 days from his birthday. The CEO of Blackstone. My goodness. And remember, the suspect named Shane came from Nevada. Nevada 47, Shane 47, Blackstone Inc. 47, President 47, Trump 47. They say he committed suicide, which is also 47. suicide. But anyways, the point, Trump is number 47, and Trump equals 47, right? So Nevada, Shane, Blackstone Inc., President, Trump, and that S word, they all equal 47. And it happened 321 days from Trump's birthday. 321, like Manhattan 321 and Blackstone 321, President of the United States 321. If you include the end date, you would get 322, obviously, Skull and Bones, which we talked about. There's a lot more. Go watch the, well, you don't really need to watch it, but we connected it to Skull and Bones also. And then it also happened on a day with 60 date numerology, like New York City 60, Police 60, Blackstone 60, and Donald Trump 60. And then remember, Butler happened exactly 1,086 weeks after Crooks was born. And they were using symbolism from Revelation 13:3. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. 1,086, that whole verse, 1,086, and Butler happened exactly 1,086 weeks after Crooks was born. And Thomas M. Crooks, 1,086, the president, 1,086, gunshot wound, 1,086. Well, look at the name of the suspect from New York, Shane Devin Tamura, 1,086. Here, fun fact about the 1,086. Much love, Cable X, True Spirit, El Paculi, everyone in the chat. Normally it pops up here. Here it is. But yeah, when CERN went full power with the Large Hadron Collider, that was 1,086 weeks and 0 days after 9/11. Large Hadron Collider, 1,086. Obama's full name, Barack Hussein Obama II, 1,086, like the B system, 1,086. It was also 846 days after COVID was declared a pandemic. Like Large Hadron Collider, 846, like the suspect's name was 846, like Sandra Lindsay, 846. The director of CERN, Fabiola Giannotti, 846, and 666. Yeah, see Fabiola Giannotti, 666 and 846, like the fallen angels. Anyways, dark matter, 666. CERN logo, the 666. Anyways, just wanted to show you that 1,086 there. Yep, talked about that earlier, Savage. The first tower, 846. And then we have the active shooter, which equals 61 on a day with 61 date numerology. 8 plus 8 plus 20 plus 25, 61, like active shooter, 61. It was also 86 days from the governor's birthday, and Emory University has the 86, like Jesuits 86 to go with all the other Jesuit connections. And then, remember, the shots were fired inside the CVS. Get it? Shots, CVS, blamed it on the COVID vaccine. But CVS is 44 and 37. Georgia, 44-37. Officer, 44-37. And shooting, 44 and 37. All right, that is it for the first part. But don't go away yet. I got more to talk about with the 88 and Putin. But yeah, pretty crazy stuff, huh? If anybody would like to support the channel, here's how you can do so. Any support, very much appreciated. This is my full-time job. I'm not monetized by YouTube. So thank you to everyone who does support. You guys are amazing. All right, and I'll do a quick recap on just a few of the key points. But yeah, you'll have to go back and rewatch for everything because it's just too much to recap everything. But let me hop out of here real quick. El Paculi, I missed it. The 222 comment. If you want to leave it again, I'll read it out. Oh, yeah, we also connected this to Jimmy Carter, right? It was 222 days from when Jimmy Carter died. I also want to point out that it was 54 days from Jimmy Carter's birthday, and Jimmy Carter equals 54. And I pointed out when he died that he died 54 days after the election. And remember, he died at 100. When you write out 100, it's 54, Jesuit Order 54. And don't forget, we talked about the Atlanta Falcons player who was involved in the game that had to be suspended last night. The guy with the last name Carter, Nathan Carter, 201. And he was born 22 years, 222 days before Jimmy Carter died. And yesterday was 222 days after Jimmy Carter died. Crazy stuff. All right, some more about the 88. Oops. So Trump says he'll meet Putin in Alaska next week. Here, let me read El Paculi's comment. He says, fun fact, 222 by Georgia and Flamingo Drive was released 2/22/22 and the track costs $2.22. Wow. Very interesting. Thank you, El Paculi. Hey, Connie. Much love. All right. Trump says he'll meet Putin in Alaska next week. And, of course, we got this news on 8/8, right? So Trump says he'll meet Putin in Alaska next week. We got this news on August 8th, 8/8. And that's also the same day that Trump gave Putin the deadline on. President Trump on Tuesday set a 10-day deadline for Russia to reach a ceasefire agreement with Ukraine, or else it risks secondary sanctions, which would mean the Kremlin would have to make a deal with Ukraine by Friday, August 8th. So there's two parts here. Not only was that the deadline, right, August 8th, 8/8, but that's also the day that he agreed to meet with Putin. And here, let me read what Georgie said. I didn't look this up, so I'm going to assume this is accurate. Trump-Putin meeting 888 weeks after 8/8 Russia-Georgian war. All right. That's crazy. Of course, Donald J. Trump is 888. But anyways, don't forget, we just had the 8.8 magnitude earthquake that hit Russia, right? 8.8. And now he agrees to meet with Putin next week, and we get this news on 8/8. And that's the deadline that he gave Russia, was 8/8. Of course, we had Hulk Hogan just die, too. HH, 88. So Trump equals 88, obviously. I just went through all the 88s, so I'm not going to go through them again. You'll have to go back. And then Vladimir is also 88. And Trump maintains August 8th deadline for Russia, right? Look at that. Deadline equals 88. Georgie says peace talks equals 88. Does it? Let's see. I don't see it. What cipher, Georgie? I'm not seeing it at all. Are you sure? Oh, Jewish ordinal? Yeah, I don't use that cipher. Some people do, I guess. Is that what you're talking about? Jewish ordinal? Peace Talks 88? I don't use that one. Oh, Peace Talk? Let's see. No. Georgie, what are you doing to me, man? Yeah, I use the 4 base ciphers and Jewish, Sumerian, and the Satanic ciphers. I don't really go outside of that. Where are you seeing that, Georgie? Are you saying Peace Talks or Peace Talk? Here, let's look up the other thing you said. Okay, so that Jewish ordinal cipher, yeah, I don't use that one. But yeah, Peace Talks does equal 88 in Jewish ordinal. So there you go. What's the other thing you were saying, Georgie? The Russia-Georgian war? When did that start? Or what, Georgie, what dates were you putting in there? 8808? I mean, that's within the time frame, but Russia Georgian War 8808. August 7th. Let's just see what we come up with. Let's see. Let's see what Georgie's talking about. Where are you seeing 888? I see August 7th. Maybe depending what part of the world you're in. But see, they're going to talk on Friday, right? And you're saying 8808. I mean, it was taking place then. Okay, I see. Well, even if you did the 87, you'd still get the 888 weeks. So Georgie was right. That's a good one. Very interesting. But yeah, if you do the 88, exactly 888 weeks, 8808. Pretty neat. And of course, oh, Georgia is ahead. Okay. 87 for US, 88 for them. Okay. But yeah, like I said, either way you look at it, even if you did the 87, you still get the 888 there. Yeah, that's interesting. And we're talking about Georgia, different Georgia, but yeah, very good. Of course, Donald J. Trump equals 888. The art of the deal, 888. COVID declared a pandemic 888 days after Trump's calm before the storm statement. But anyways, we get the news, right, that he's going to meet with Putin. And the same day he gave him the deadline, August 8th, 8-8. Trump equals 88, Vladimir 88. We just had the 8.8 hit Russia, right? And the deadline was on August 8th, 8-8. And deadline equals 88. Well, they had this guy going over there, meeting with Putin. And it says here, White House Special Envoy Steve Witkoff met with Russian President Vladimir Putin on Wednesday ahead of President Donald Trump's Friday deadline for Moscow to make peace with Ukraine, right? So you had this guy that Trump sent over there to talk to Putin, right? Check out his name. Stephen Charles Witkoff equals 88. How about that? And then, of course, August 8th was the 220th day of the year, Donald John Trump, 220. It was also 60 days before Putin's birthday. Donald Trump equals 60. So you could say Putin agrees to meet with Donald Trump 60 days before his birthday, and Donald Trump equals 60. And the other half would be the leader of Ukraine, right, Zelensky, and they gave Russia a deadline to make peace with Ukraine by August 8th. I just want to point out that the deadline was 6 months and 14 days from Zelensky's birthday. And of course, 6/14 is Trump's birthday. And this is really crazy. So the deadline, right, was August 8th. That was 170 days before Zelensky's birthday. And World War III equals 170. And I just talked about this number in connection to Zelensky back in July. Remember this decode I did? Trump announces weapons for Ukraine, warns Russia. That was on the day leaving 170 days left in the year. And it was 170 days after Zelensky's birthday. And that was on July 14th. That's the same day that Trump gave Russia the original deadline. That was the 50-day warning, which then he changed to 8-8. But isn't that wild? when he warned Russia and announced weapons for Ukraine, that was 170 days left in the year, and it was 170 days after Zelensky's birthday. Now, the new deadline was 170 days before Zelensky's birthday. I mean, that's just perfect. And World War III, 170. And for the record, I do think World War III already started with Russia, Ukraine. And I'm going to show you why in a second. So back to the 201. Well, here, let me say this first. The Russia-Ukraine war, you know, it began February 24th, 224. Notice Russia-Ukraine war equals 224. That's when it started. Which I guess I could also mention, since I'm about to make the Jesuit connection here. The Society of Jesus, the official name of the Jesuits, is also 224. So since I'm about to make the Jesuit connection, let me mention that. So the Russia-Ukraine war started on 224, Russia-Ukraine war 224, the Society of Jesus 224. And I pointed out here that the deadline was 201 days from the anniversary of the Russian invasion, which equals 201, and it was also 201 days after Trump took office. Isn't that something? Like the Jesuit order, 201. We've been talking about 201 all day. So Donald Trump, there's two parts here. Donald Trump agreed to meet Putin 55 days from Trump's birthday. We got this news. Putin equals 55. See here, August 8th. Trump says he'll meet Putin in Alaska next week. And we got that news on August 8th. That was 55 days from Trump's birthday. Putin, 55. But that was also the same day he gave them a deadline for the ceasefire. And ceasefire is also 55. So they're going to meet on August 15th. That's going to be 313 days after Putin's birthday. Look at Putin's full name. Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin equals 313. Can you believe it? What a perfect day for the meeting, huh? 313 days from Putin's birthday when Putin's full name equals 313. Couldn't script it any better. It's also going to be the day leaving 138 days left in the year when Donald Trump is 138. And it's also going to be on a day with 68 date numerology, like Georgie brought up earlier. And remember I said I actually think World War III started with Russia, Ukraine. And here's why. Well, number one, the meeting is going to be August 15th, 2025, a day with 68 date numerology. 8 plus 15 plus 20 plus 25, 68. All right. Of course, Donald J. Trump, 68. Donald John Trump, 68. Ukraine war, 68. This is the invasion of Ukraine on a day with 68 date numerology. This is World War I and World War II. They both started on days with 68 date numerology. So that's the main reason why I think we've been in World War III, not full-blown yet, but it's getting there. You can see it's all building up, right? But I think we've been in World War III ever since this day right here. The invasion of Ukraine. 2 plus 24 plus 20 plus 22 equals 68. And World War II. 9 plus 1 plus 19 plus 39, 68. World War I. 7 plus 28 plus 19 plus 14, 68. Ukraine war, 68, and they're going to meet on a day with 68 date numerology. And for the record, it's also going to have 48 date numerology. Don't forget, Donald Trump does equal 48. So does Russia, for the record. And then in other news, on August 8th, Israel's Security Cabinet approves plan to take control of Gaza City on August 8th. 8/8, 201 days after Trump took office. And of course, State of Israel, 201, like the Jesuit Order 201. And we get the news on 8/8, Trump equals 88. Trump proposes U.S. take over Gaza, level it, and build resorts. Remember that one? And this isn't the first time we've talked about the 201. Remember when Israel did the strikes on Iran on June 13th, the day leaving 201 days left in the year? State of Israel 201, June 13th, 201. Talked about the 201s with Obama earlier. The son of perdition, Barack Hussein Obama, 201. Like event 201 on 10:18, like Luke 10:18. I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. Barack means lightning, bomb of the heights. And then preparing for disease X was 201 weeks after COVID declared a pandemic and 201 days from Obama's birthday. That old serpent, 201. But then you remember the 181 missiles from Iran to Israel. That was on October 1st, 201 days before Khomeini's birthday, the leader of Iran. And back to the 181, right? We talked so much about that. Let's see if I can pull up a slide real quick. If not, I'll just type it out. Let's see. Of course, Barack Obama is 181. Obama's full name, 181. Here, let's just see what we can find here. Israel attacks Iran, 181. Barack Hussein Obama II, 181. Barack Obama, 181. World War III, 181. We're talking about 181 missiles. Remember I showed you the clip where Trump said, I don't know if you saw, but Iran just launched 181 missiles at Israel, and I've been talking about World War III for a long time. 181, the 42nd prime number, like Iran 42, War 42, World War 42. Oh, see, I'm glad I looked it up. I would have forgot all about this. Israel attacks Iran. We got this one on April 18th. That was 181 days after Netanyahu's birthday. How about that? Israel attacks Iran, 181. World War III, 181. And then I guess in this decode, I forgot to talk about the 181 missiles. But yeah, that's what I was just showing you here. October 1st, 2024, Iran launched 181 missiles. Where were we? I got so many tabs open. And there's so much more I could say about all this, but here's another 201. Israel warns Tehran will burn. 201. Yeah, don't forget when Israel was allegedly attacked by Hamas, that was 64 days after Obama's birthday. Israel equals 64. Barack Hussein Obama 64, the Antichrist 64, and then Israel formally declared war 666 days before Obama's 64th birthday. When Israel equals 64 and they were attacked 64 days from Obama's birthday, right? Here, let me check one more time, see if any other 181s come up. Israel activates Barak Megan. Aerial defenses. Barak, get it? 197 like the Antichrist. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The 181 missiles. UN Resolution 181, also known as the Partition Plan for Palestine, was a UN proposal in 1947 to divide British-administered Palestine into separate Jewish and Arab states with Jerusalem under international control. The resolution was accepted by the Jewish community but rejected by the Arab population and surrounding Arab nations, leading to the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. UN Resolution 181, how about that? Of course, we talked about the Squid Game connection, where they take the first vote, where it's tied 181 to 181. And that came out around the same time as the South Korea plane with the 181 people in South Korea plane 181. And then we had the NB 181 variant. Anyways, going too far now. Let's see. Let's make sure there's nothing else on the 181. Yeah, let's see if I can get that video to come up with Trump. But yeah, I probably can't find it, but there was a video of Trump saying, I've been talking about World War III for a long time, with the talking about the 181 missiles. Yeah, it's all good. Anyways, you can take my word for it. It happened. All right. But yeah. 201. The 181 missiles were, let me just back up. Why am I talking about 201? Because Israel's Security Cabinet approves plan to take control of Gaza City 201 days from when Trump took office. State of Israel, 201. It was on 8/8, Trump 88. And then the strikes on Iran were June 13th, and Israel and Iran the day, leaving 201 days left in the year. And then the 181 missiles, again, World War III is 181. The 181 missiles were 201 days from Khomeini's birthday. Same numbers, different day. All right, I think that's it. Let me go through all my tabs up here real quick. Make sure I talked about everything that I wanted to talk about. We talked about a lot today. So yeah, I'm going to do a very quick recap. For all the details, you'll have to go back and watch. Remember, you can watch on fast forward. But yeah, I just want to touch on the 201 again, the 222, and the 56. Hey, Raymond, much love. All right, so the key points here. I mean, honestly, one of the most obvious rituals I've ever seen. Officer killed in shooting outside CDC headquarters in Atlanta by gunman who reportedly blamed the COVID vaccine for his illness. And the shots were fired inside a CVS, right? So you got shots in a CVS, like a COVID vaccine. A lot of them were at CVS, and happened near the CDC. And he's blaming the COVID vaccine, right? And this happened near Emory University, where the address is 201. How about that? 201, like Event 201, the pandemic simulation with William Henry Gates 201. And it was also 201 days after Trump assumed office. I mean, that right there, take a screenshot of that, send it to all your friends. Undeniable. And then here's a decode I did years ago when the CDC director tested positive for COVID 201 days after her birthday. And the founder of the CDC is Dr. Joseph Mountain, which equals 201. And then I pointed out how, we had Event 201 with William Henry Gates 201. But then we also had Preparing for Disease X, another simulation, which was exactly 201 weeks after COVID was declared a pandemic. And it was also 201 days from Obama's birthday, the son of perdition, Barack Hussein Obama, 201. Event 201 held on 10/18, like Luke 10/18. But anyways, I'm not going to go through the whole list again, but obviously the 201 connected to the first Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis. We just had Ozzy Osbourne, 201. I will mention this part again. Remember COVID connected to the bat? Ozzy bit the head off a bat on 20/1, and then he tested positive for COVID. It was announced by Sharon. 201 days from Sharon's birthday, and Ozzy and Sharon were born 201 weeks apart. And then Ronnie James Dio, who replaced Ozzy, died 201 days from Ozzy's birthday. And then we had all the 201s with Hulk Hogan, all the 201s with Malcolm Jamal Warner, who died on the 201st day of the year with 201 episodes of The Cosby Show. Then you add up their ages. Hulk Hogan, Ozzy Osbourne, Malcolm Jamal Warner, add up their ages. It equals 201. Then you add up their three names. Malcolm Jamal Warner, Ozzy Osbourne, Hulk Hogan, equals 201. And then we had a football game get suspended last night because a player got a head injury, a blow right here. Lions Maurice Norris leaves preseason game in ambulance after blow to the head. That happened in Georgia, Atlanta, right? Same place as the shooting, right? And the guy he collided with was right here, Nathan Carter, and we connected this to Jimmy Carter. But anyways, Nathan Carter has the 201, and we pointed out, Franchot found this, that Jimmy Carter died 22 years, 222 days after this guy was born, and both these events, the football game and the shooting, they were 222 days after Jimmy Carter died. And 1229, that's the 201st prime number. But yeah, the shooting happened on the 220th day of the year. Coronavirus pandemic 220, Operation Warp Speed 220, Donald John Trump 220. And like I said, 222 days after Jimmy Carter died, right? He's the governor of Georgia, or he was the governor of Georgia, and these events happened in Georgia. Trump 222, Donald John Trump Sr. 222, Donald John Trump dies 222, Trump Organization 222, happened inside of CVS 222. Jimmy Carter's funeral was 22 weeks and 2 days before Trump's birthday. I pointed out the last two presidents to die, George H.W. Bush and Jimmy Carter. George H.W. Bush, his funeral was 22 months, 2 weeks, and 2 days after Trump's first inauguration. And Jimmy Carter died 2,222 days after George H.W. Bush died. And then back to COVID and the 222 with Trump. The first U.S. case of COVID was 222 days from Trump's birthday. They called it Wuhan coronavirus 222, like Event 201, World Economic Forum, the Beast of Revelation, Antichrist system, the Antichrist Barack Obama, mandatory vaccination, COVID vaccines, vaccine cards, as above, so below, order out of chaos, are all 222. And then COVID declared a pandemic 222 months after 9/11. And Obama tested positive in 2022, which is 222, 222 days from his birthday. And it was declared a national emergency 222 days from Obama's birthday. And then Trump won the election 222 days from his birthday. And there was a 222-page lawsuit against the Trump Organization where he took the stand 222 days from his birthday. And then Trump's sister died 222 days from her birthday, and Ivana Trump died 222 days from her birthday. And Ivana, 222. And then also, right, the guy blamed the COVID vaccine, right? And the officer who was killed, David Rose, 56, like COVID vaccine 56, coronavirus 56, Anthony Fauci 56, 56 days after Trump's birthday and 56 weeks after Butler, right? And of course he's 33 years old. We'll get to that. The suspect, 30 years old, like vaccine 30, police 30, corona is also 30. And then we talked about his name, the 846, like Trump dead, Trump killed 846. Remember Sandra Lindsay had the 846 and all that. 90 days from the CDC director's birthday, Patrick Joseph White, 90. The officer, 33 years old. Like police, 33. Masonry, 33. Corona's also 33. Like the last shooting we connected to Trump, the guy went up to the 33rd floor in New York, which is 33. CDC HQ, 88, like Trump, happened on 8/8. Went through all the 88s with Trump. Yeah. Officer David Rose, 159, like Donald Trump. We went through all the 159s, connected it to the shooting in New York. Remember the guy in New York had Trump's birthday on his card? Shane D. Tamura issued 614. Shane D. Tamura, 44, like shooting, like kill. 44 date numerology, 44-story building, 44 days from Trump's birthday, and went through all that. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, if you came in late, I definitely recommend going back and rewatching. We would just be here another hour to recap everything. And yeah, like I said earlier, one of the things I might start doing in the future is maybe not doing, like I'm still going to do slides for every show, but it might just be screenshots. I might not build a collage for every single number going forward, just for the sake of time and for my mental health. Because number one, I can get out more decodes that way. I can get them out quicker too. It takes me several hours to put these collages together, so I might start doing things a little differently. And then also with the recaps, they take so long, I might not recap every single slide going forward, maybe just the key points, just for the sake of time and for my mental health, because this stuff does take a toll on you after, almost 6 years, 10,000 videos, and 14 channels. That's why I had to take a little break. And while I took my break, I was evaluating a few things, and that's one of the things I thought of is, maybe I'm putting more work on myself than what's necessary. It's not so important that I build these collages. It's more important that I get the information out. And then after the fact, I'd probably take like the 5 top points and then make a collage out of that for the community post and for Facebook, and to recap the key points like the next day. But yeah, if I could just decode it, take screenshots, put it together, and go live, I can get stuff out a lot quicker that way. So we'll see what happens. But that's the way I'm leaning right now. All right, I think that's it. Let me turn this thing around. Oh, let me show the, if anybody wants to help out, here's how you can help out. And again, thank you to everyone who does support. You guys were very helpful during the break. Thank you so much to everyone who has supported me over the last almost 6 years. Remember, I'm not monetized, so you guys keep me going, and we're still here. We're not giving up. So thank you guys so much for keeping me in the game. I appreciate it, and love you guys. All right, let's turn this thing around. Howdy. All right, guys, what do you think, huh? He's blaming the COVID vaccine, and this happens. We got shots inside a CVS with Emory University address 201, 201 days after Trump took office, like Event 201, like William Henry Gates 201. What's going on? The founder of the CDC, his name equals 201. We have the CDC director test positive 201 days from her birthday. I did that decode 3 years ago. Same numbers, still coming out. So we got the 201, the 222, we got the 56, got the 33. It's all in there. Hopefully I didn't miss anything, but that's always a possibility. If I did, I'll leave it in the comments. So it's very good to be back to work. I feel like a fish out of water when I'm not decoding. So it feels good to be back. And hopefully it'll be a little while before I need another break. Let's see, I took a break in April, and then I just took a break at the end of July. So yeah, I think July 28th was my last decode. But so let's see, 3 months. That didn't last very long. We'll see if we can last longer this time. But yeah, April, May, June, July, 3 to 4 months, something like that. But yeah, it happens, man. I think I'm probably one of the only decoders that does take a break, but that's okay. I don't mind. You know, some guys don't do videos every day also. That's probably really smart. Like Cody, if you notice, decoding with Cody, he'll take 2 or 3 days in between videos, and that's probably good for your mental health. But I'm not going to do that. But I might from time to time. Just know it might happen again. There was so much news that happened in that week. We had Malcolm Jamal Warner, Ozzy Osbourne, Hulk Hogan. We had multiple shootings, and that big one in New York. And I got burnt out. And I think part of it was, like I said, having to make so many collages. So I might stop doing that in the future. Or, not permanently, but, like for the shorter videos, if I do like a regular video, that'll have slides. If it's something like 5 to 10 slides, I can make collages. But if it's a 30 slide, live stream, it might just be screenshots. But yeah, I gotta think about my mental health and not put too much pressure. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed, but I'm a little bit of an OCD perfectionist, so I do put a lot of pressure on myself. If I miss something in a decode, I kind of get upset with myself, and then I'm frustrated, and it's just my personality. I can't help it, but there might be times when I need to take a week off, like I just did. I think it was actually about 9 days. I said in the video, I'm going to take a few days off, maybe a week. It turned into 9 or 10 days. I was actually going to take 2 weeks off, but this story right here inspired me. It's starting to rain outside. But Franchot, he texted me last night. He said, "Hey man, you want to do a live stream on this, shooting in Georgia?" And I was like, man, I'm feeling kind of down, not really up to it right now. And as soon as we started putting it together, I was like, okay, I'll do it. And then it went deeper and deeper. And honestly, because of that show we did last night, check it out. We went live for like 2 hours. But it inspired me to come back early. And yeah, we'll see what happens here. The news has been pretty crazy. There's a lot of stories I missed, but that's okay. Can't catch them all. But yeah, we're back full time. We'll be on top of things, so be checking out for short videos. When I say short, I mean like regular videos, but also the shorts. I do post there occasionally. And check the community posts. I always post there. You can also follow me on Facebook, and I am on Twitter, or X. I don't post there a lot, but yeah, Spencer, I do think Trump is going to be gone soon. Yep. I've been saying that for the last 5 years. And yep, that's basically what this whole video was about, connected to Trump being gone soon, and also the obvious COVID connection with the 201. And like I said, me and Franchot were live. We were putting all this together on the fly. We found the address 201, and I'm like, wait, it's 201 days from when Trump took office. Oh, shots inside of CVS. Oh, the CDC. And then after we got done with the video, they came out with the motive. Officer killed in shooting outside CDC HQ in Atlanta by gunmen who reportedly blamed COVID vaccine for illness. I sent him a text right away. I said, bro, are you kidding me? We just connected it to that, and they're saying that's the motive? How crazy. So, anyways, hopefully the rain isn't too loud. You can hear me. But I'm in Florida. We get them thunderstorms in the summer. Got a couple hurricanes. Well, not hurricanes yet, but there's one out there I got my eye on. It'll probably just go out to sea, but we are in that time of year. We got a couple that came pretty close the last couple years. Milton and Helene, and then Ian came close. We always get a close. I'm in the Tampa Bay area. We always get close, but never directly hit for some reason. Just like Charlie was supposed to come here, but never did. What was the other one? Irma? Irma was supposed to come here. We'll see. Maybe this is the year. Was it Irma? So I was born in the Tampa Bay area. I was born in St. Petersburg. I lived here till I was 7. Then when I was 7, I moved to Vero Beach, Florida. And then I came back here for college. I went to USF, St. Pete. But anyways, when I was in Vero Beach, we did get 2 direct hits back-to-back one year, Francis and Jean. And ever since that happened, I kind of became like a hurricane junkie. I know it's kind of weird, but I like a good hurricane. If you guys remember last year, I kind of drove around during the hurricane. I should have been a storm chaser, but I guess this is what God called me to do. But yeah, if I wasn't doing this, that's probably what I would do. I'm fascinated by storms. Hurricanes and tornadoes, they just really interest me. But yeah, let's see. Was it Irma? Yeah, I think it was Irma that was supposed to hit us, but it went a little south. But yeah, they got a couple storms out there. We'll see what they do. Here, let me pull up Hurricane Milton real quick. Hold on. I did a decode on that one. See if I can find it. Hurricane Milton destroys roof of Tropicana Field Stadium, and that was the same day. Implosion brings down Tropicana Casino in Vegas to make way for baseball stadium, right? Look at this. Tropicana is a perfect match to Hurricane in 3 out of the 4 base ciphers. Look at that. Hurricane Milton destroys roof of Tropicana Field Stadium. On the same day, implosion brings down Tropicana Casino in Vegas to make way for baseball stadium. For the Athletics, look. Tropicana Las Vegas officially receives permit for hotel tower implosion to make way for Athletics Stadium. And look at that. Athletics is a match to Hurricane and Tropicana. Hold on one sec. One second. And then this is actually me holding that piece of the stadium right there. So it happened on October 9th, the day leaving 83 days left in the year. And, yeah, right? October 9th, the day leaving 83 days left in the year. Tropicana Field, 83. Milton, 83. And remember, that was the anniversary of Milton the Monster. The show came out on October 9th. Remember that? A hurricane simulation for Tampa Bay was called Project Phoenix 2.0. Project Phoenix 2.0 equals Hurricane Milton in 2 ciphers. Hurricane Milton is a Category 5, and I think it dropped down a little bit, but so back to the 83s, right? Tropicana Field 83, Milton 83. 83 days left in the year. The other part about Milton, Hurricane Milton spawns tornado outbreak in Florida ahead of landfall. There have been more than 30 reported twisters in the state. Well, Milton made landfall 83 days after the movie Twisters came out. And guess what Twisters equals? 83. So 83 days after Twisters came out, Twisters equals 83. 83 days left in the year. And then it takes the roof off of Tropicana Field 83, Milton 83. How crazy is that? Hey, here's my video, chasing Hurricane Milton. And then we did a video after the fact. We drove down to Tropicana Field. But, yeah, I had some pictures of me with the roof. But, let me see. Oh, here it is. So that's, I used to be a huge Rays fan, just like I used to be a big Buccaneers fan before I woke up in 2019, thank God. But there I am, holding Tropicana Field in my hands, or the roof of Tropicana Field, which they still haven't replaced. That's why the Rays are playing at the Yankees spring training facility. But yep, that's me. I never thought I'd be holding the roof of Tropicana Field. It was everywhere. All over the place. Yep, there's me at a Rays game. Oh, drinking a beer, shame on me. This was back in 2018. But yep, I used to be a big Rays fan. Anyways, that don't matter. But another Rays game. Anyway, I just wanted to show you the numbers on Milton since I brought up hurricanes. Yep, there I am with the Trop roof. It was pretty crazy to experience the hurricane and then drive down there to the Trop and then also to do a decode on it, all within, 24 to 48 hours. If you remember, we were watching it live on the radar. I was driving around for like an hour until I came home, and the power went out for a while. Our tree in the front yard went down, and then the neighbor's fence came down too. So, but we were okay. But yeah, we'll see what happens this year. We'll see what happens. All right, let me check in with the chat, and then we'll wrap this up. Much love to Lady Hawk, Samantha, Warning Signs, Brandy, Paul, Spencer, Raymond, Georgie, Maggie, Susan. Cody was in here earlier. Dr. Savage was in here earlier. Thank you guys. Much love to everyone. All right, guys. Well, I think it was a good show back. A lot of undeniable information, especially that 201 part. I mean, wow. But yeah, more news by the numbers. All right, guys. That's it for this. We'll see what happens in the next couple days. And whatever happens, we'll cover it. All right? My beard's getting long. This is the longest it's been in months. I'm still growing it out. I don't know how long yet, but we're going with it for now. All right, guys. I think that's all I got. The old 201, yet again. Can you believe it? All right, guys. Well, do me a favor. There's 100 of you still watching. If just 20 of you could leave a comment on this video after the fact, that would really help out the algorithm. Would be very much appreciated. Just leave a comment. Say good video, thumbs up, or whatever you want to type out there in the comments. Hey, Claudia. Very much appreciated. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Please do me a favor on the way out. Please hit the like and the share. Very much appreciated. And as always, Adam just went live. All right, we'll go check him out. Adam the Illusion. Thank you, Lady Hawk. Thank you, Crystal. I appreciate it. Good to be back. All right, guys. Hit the like and the share on the way out. Hey, Leslie. Much love. The thunder rolls, man. I used to like Garth Brooks a lot before I found out the whole music industry is satanic. He used to be my favorite musician, Garth Brooks. I like some 90s country. But anyways, yeah, The Thunder Rolls by Garth Brooks. I actually went to a Garth Brooks concert in Gainesville right before I woke up in 2019, and that was quite a time. But anyways, yeah, Garth Brooks, part of the club, like them all, unfortunately, but I used to like him. All right, guys, let me get out of here. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and as always, keep looking up. Hey, Dirk, good to see you. Much love, man. As always, keep looking up. We are living in the biblical end of days. Jesus is coming very soon. I can't wait. And I'll see you guys on the next video. God bless.